I be feeling trippy with me till I on my mind. Yeah,
What's going on, everyone? It's your boy J Money. This is Way Forever Films. Right now, as we speak, we're in the building with a superstar. What it do, my brother?
What's up, brother? My name's Sarmento. That's Sarmento. Boston artist. And you know what I mean? Let's get into it.
What's going on, my brother? How's life treating you, man?
Man, life's been good. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, my mental, I know you were asking me about that earlier. My mental's good, you know what I mean? I feel good. And just grinding. Trying to be consistent, you know what I mean?
That's it, man. Last time you pull up in the building, bro, you blessed us with that special mic drop, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you, as of right now, out of all the mic drops that I've shot, that's my favorite one, bro. Especially with the new that mic style too, man.
Yeah,
like, that one came out crazy with the song "If Only I Knew," bro.
Hell yeah.
For those who's not aware, man, can you break down that song to us?
Yeah. So the meaning behind that one, I'd say, is just like in my past, just having like exes and shit like that. And, in the background, they just be hoeing around, but like I didn't see it at first, you know what I mean? Like one of my bars was, all my brothers told me you weren't as innocent as it seems. And shit, I guess it's true. Cause you know what I mean? Like over time, just started seeing that shit, see the true colors of, these women come out and, if only I knew. So, I mean, I guess that's what it is in just the most simple sense. But yeah, it's pretty much what that song was about.
Speaking of your brothers and things like that too, man, can you share with us your early upcoming, like growing up, how was life like growing up and things like that?
Yeah. My upbringing, I mean, obviously me fucking up a lot, like definitely put my parents through a lot of shit. And you know what I mean, there was a time where we were living in the same house. I didn't speak to my parents for 2 months, you know what I mean, like that long. And how I dealt with it back in the day, I see my parents dealing with their problems this way, and I just would drink every single night, you know what I mean, like drink myself to sleep. And that was an every night occurrence. And you know what I mean, I was like 16, 17, and I never, I would tell myself, yo, like, you can't be an alcoholic that young, you know what I mean? But I look back on it now and I'm just like, damn, like, that's what I was, you know what I mean? And I was literally just drinking to go to sleep, you know? I'm not gonna go into all of like everything that, I did to become what I was during that time. But that's kind of my upbringing. I mean, as far as I know, it's hard for me to like think back on the past because that's like almost like a time in my life where it's like it made me who I am today, but it's not something I like thinking about. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't a good person back then, but I don't regret it at all. Anything I've done, anything like that, I don't regret at all because it made me who I am today. And you know what I mean? Like that's just growing up. It took a while to, accept that. And I mean, as far as my upbringing, I don't really go into a lot of detail, but that's what I'll give the people. That's what I'll give this interview for right now. You know what I mean?
Yep. So with that being said, man, like with the school, did you actually like? Cause you say you made it, like you couldn't really still stay with your friends that you had. You kind of had to move because of your trouble, things like that. So did that mean pretty much you dropped out of school, or how far did you even get with school, things like that?
So growing up, I was always a smart kid. I'd always get good grades and all that. I mean, I don't think it affected my schooling at all. It was just that, I would be hanging out with the different people than I grew up with, and it wasn't because I wanted to. And now I'm happy I did, you know what I mean? Because some of them are my best friends to this day. But it was more like I was pushed out of like a group that I grew up with, you know what I mean? Just playing sports with and all that. By growing up, that's kind of what I mean. I don't think it affected my schooling at all, you know what I mean? I graduated high school with a 3.8 GPA, and from there, I was trying to go D1 in soccer because I'm Portuguese, so you know what I mean. I had to play soccer growing up, but I went to a boarding school in New Hampshire, and I raised my GPA, my overall GPA, to a 4.0, and then from there, I got a 75% scholarship to Bentley, and when I went to Bentley, if we're on the school subject and all that, you know, Bentley just wasn't the best experience for me. You know what I mean? Like, I never really grew up with kids like that. And I don't know, most of the kids there, I'm not gonna say most of them, but the people that would kind of hate on me, shit on me and all that, were the kids that were wearing like fucking suits and ties to class. You know what I mean? And I'd be in like a sweatsuit, showing up like 15 minutes late, and you know, they would make fun of me type shit. And just because I made music and all that. But yeah, man, I mean, I'd say, you know, all these things that happened never affected my schooling. I had a weird school journey, whatever you want to call it, after high school, just not really knowing what I wanted to do, if I wanted to go in school and all that. So I had a pretty weird journey after that. But I mean, to answer your question, I don't think it ever really affected me. Like all that stuff that happened never affected my school, and it wasn't like I dropped out of high school or anything like that. Yeah.
So what about, because you mentioned you played soccer too, so how would you say like soccer kept you out of trouble? Because 9 times out of 10, in my opinion, I feel like when you actually like play a sport, that's always it helps you stay out of trouble. How would you say soccer kept you out of trouble and things like that?
Soccer is just one of those things, like any sport is like those things that like, it's like music too. It's just like when you in it, when you practicing, whether you playing, whether you just, you know, at a field by yourself, training, whatever, it's just something that almost distracts you from everything else that's going on in your life. And I feel like, you know, like I'll be stressing as soon as I hit the field, as soon as I step on the field, it's just like all my problems went away for that hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, like the time that I was there. You know what I mean? Kind of like all my stress from the beginning of the day went away. So, you know what I mean? That's kind of how it helped me get out of these stressful situations, whatever, you know.
Yes, sir. Yo, with the music, bro, like what got you into music, and then when would you say that you actually started creating music?
Yeah, I started creating music when I was 16 or 17. And it was actually that year that, you know what I mean, I was doing some shit, and I wasn't hanging out with the same people, whatever. You know, I was really like in exile almost, you know what I mean? Just kind of like away from the group, outcast at this point. And I saw a couple kids, they were a year older than me, and I saw them making music and all that. And I remember everyone in the high school, they were listening to their music, like every time they dropped, you know what I mean? They would be listening to them. And I was just like, oh, so then this is how y'all gonna listen to me then? Like, you know what I mean? Like if I can put what I wanna say on a beat and make it sound alright, like y'all gonna listen to me then? You know what I mean? And it was just kind of like, that's pretty much how I thought of it. And I was like, you know what, like, let me talk my shit then. And like, let me tell them like how I've been feeling. Like, y'all gonna listen to me then, you know what I mean? So that's kind of how the music started, all that. Yeah, that was like the first thing. It was more about just like always wanting to be, not always wanting to be, but in that moment wanting to be heard when I feel like I wasn't, you know what I mean? I wasn't the person that they paid me out to be. Just because I wanted to make money in certain ways don't mean I was this bad kid that, you know what I mean?
What about artists? Like, when you see there was a couple artists that you were actually grabbing your inspiration from at the same time too?
Oh yeah. I mean, everyone knows this. Like, all my boys, even people that I don't know that listen to my music, even you know, you said it too.
You son, man,
and you know
who
who I'm
man.
going
That's
to
what
say.
I got, man.
That's what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, like, my upbringing with music is, you know, I feel like it's everything that I am today. Like, you know what I mean? Like, back in the day, my mom used to play Eminem, you know what I mean? So like, I would always listen to Eminem on the radio and shit like that, and she loved Eminem. And then once I got a little bit older, I remember the first song that I ever listened to by myself, actually going on and like searching up a song. It was like pretty much just when YouTube started. I think YouTube started in like 2006 or whatever. This was in 2008, 2009, something like that. I think I was like 7 or 8. But I remember I was at like a Thanksgiving at like my grandmother's house, and I went on the computer, and first thing that popped up on YouTube, like on trending or whatever, was Kanye West Stronger. So I remember I was listening to that, and my aunt walks in the room and she's like, turn that shit off. Like, turn that shit off. You are not old enough to listen to that shit. And I was just like, yo, so I turn it off right away, or she turns it off, whatever it was. But I remember as soon as she left the door, I turned that back on just with the lower volume. Cause you know what I mean? Like, someone tells me, and that stems even from back then, like, someone tells me I can't, that just makes me want to do it even more. You know what I mean? And I listened to that, and then since then it was Kanye. Always Kanye, Jay-Z, Eminem. And then when I got a little bit older and my cousin put me onto like LimeWire, where you would download music or whatever, I would have like an iPod shuffle. And I remember like having the iPod shuffle every single day on the way to elementary school. I was in the back seat and I LimeWired J. Cole mixtapes. And from there, you know what I mean? Not only was it fire, but that shit just stuck with me because of nostalgia too. You know what I mean? And that was quite literally like my upbringing in music. Kanye, Eminem, J. Cole. And then, you know what I mean, I started fucking with Drake, obviously. Fucking with all these different type of artists. But I'd say as far as like the music that I listened to like really start me off was Eminem, Kanye, and J. Cole, for sure.
Speaking of J. Cole, man, what's your favorite J. Cole song? But actually, you know what?
Damn, man, you gonna hit me with that?
I'm gonna throw you 2 songs. You pick one. Workout or Young Simba?
Young Simba?
Yeah, it's Simba. It's like,
Simba or grown Simba. Yeah, ain't no young Simba.
Yeah, but it was something like Simba.
It's Simba. 2009 or something. Yeah, I mean, shit, man. You're asking like 2 different styles of J. Cole. Like,
yeah, the other Workout was like my little party songs and that sort of vibe. But Simba is more like him going in. And
as far as nostalgia, for me, it's Simba. But I mean, like, Workout, like, I still play that to this day. Like, that's, you know what I mean? That's an amazing song.
Man, when I tell you, like, man, I have one of my boys. If you watching that Santana Montana, that's a shout out to you. If you watching that, you know what's up, man. Like, he goes crazy about J. Cole. Man, if you look at him too, 100%. He actually looks like J. Cole 2040 bars too. Oh my God, man. But speaking of that, man, I know like with your music right now, man, I feel like you're like an underdog in the game, man. So
Yeah.
with that being said, man, I know nowadays once you're like one of those artists rapping the real rap,
Yeah.
doing real music,
Hard to find
like
now.
yo, you basically automatically become the underdog. So how do
Yeah.
you feel about that too? Being an underdog right now, man.
Man, I love it. I mean, everyone loves an underdog story. You know what I mean? And if you don't, you be lying. You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm in a great spot right now. I feel like music is changing towards a different era, and it's kind of like different type of music, and it's almost like I want to bring back what, like I was saying, like the music that I was brought up on, and it's with that little mix of new school. You know what I mean? I wouldn't even say like J. Cole's old school, but he had that vibe, and it was right at the tipping point of like, oh, now this vibe changed. You know what I mean? Like him, Kendrick, and Drake were like the end of that old school era. You know what I mean? I wouldn't call them old school, but they're the end of that era where old school was still like that. They put their little like take on it. You know what I mean? But I feel like I'm in a perfect place. You know what I mean? Just trying to bring that back and not really getting caught up with all the trends these days and all the people capping in their lyrics. You know what I mean? Like people be doing that all the time. And it's like I see them out in person and I'm just like, you ain't like that. You know what I mean? And I can say, you know, confidently, and I can say with my head held high that, you know, I've never lied in my lyrics. I've never said some shit that ain't me. You know what I mean? And, you know what I mean? That's why I like my music. And, you know what I mean? Like, that's why I feel like I deserve respect for that shit. You know what I mean? And respect is earned, not, you know, and it's never really like given, it's earned. But at the end of the day, like if I just keep, you know, pushing music out, always talking real shit and all that, it's inevitable. So, you know what I mean? That's kind of how I feel about my music.
Hear that, bro, man. You know how you mentioned how like there was a time period where like you could feel like the music started changing. Me and my like I was gonna my main question I was gonna ask you like what artists do you feel like kind of like was the main reason why music changed to that specific route? Me, I think in my opinion, if you ask me, I think you know Little B, the bass guard.
Oh, okay.
I think he kind of started that, honestly,
Yeah.
man.
I don't know, man. I mean, like,
And I would say
I'm not saying like this new music is bad. Music is subjective. You know what I mean? Like I feel like all music is good, bro. Like I listen to Adele, bro. I listen to Morgan Wallen, bro. That dude's fire. Like, you know what I mean, bro? Like I listen to all types of music, bro. Ella Fitzgerald, bro. Like I be listening to that shit. Like for real, like by myself in the whip, I be listening to that shit. Boys to Men, bro. Jodeci. Like I'll be listening to all this different type of music. And then, you know what I mean? Like I could listen to Pop Smoke, and then I could listen to Jadakiss. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just tons of different music. I wouldn't say one artist changed it. I'd say a group of people trying to blow up, because you always got to change. You can't always go with the times. Like, you know what I mean? The times go with the people. And so I wouldn't say one artist changed it. Everyone had to be different to blow up. And over time, you know what I mean? That came into this certain kind of sound and all that. But that's what I'm doing right now. And what isn't real is what's popping right now. You know what I mean? Like shit that people just like can't even relate to, but they want to listen to it because it makes, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't say one artist really changed like a whole decade of music, you know, like the trend. I wouldn't say any artist really made a trend. I would say it was a couple different artists, and it was just, it's, you know, it's inevitable. Things are going to change, and that's with music too. So that's kind of how I feel about it.
Bro, with you making all those good songs, the loving songs and all that, bro, the heartbreaks, telling people like the true stories about the loves, how these girls can blind you and all, bro.
100.
How do you feel about this NFL player right now that needs your advice right now? He goes by Travis Hunter, bro.
Damn, man. I mean, you can't really give advice to someone that don't want it. You know what I mean? Like, that's yo, I don't even know what to say, and that was crazy that you just brought that up. That was mad random. But hey, I don't even know what to say to him. He's goated though. He gonna be crazy. I know that for a fact. And I ain't getting involved in anyone else's relationship because that shit, like, only he knows his experience. You know what I mean? And I'll say that to anyone. You know what I mean? Like, I can't get involved in another man's relationship. And I would not pretend to know what's going on behind the scenes. You know what I mean? But, hey, like, he's a amazing athlete. And, I mean, he might see this in the future. I don't know. But, hey, man, hats off to you. And, you know, just keep going. Fuck it.
Bro, I saw you Bow Wow throwing some crazy advice on him, man. And then next thing you know, bro, he apparently, like, it came out recently that he got married with his fiance.
Yeah,
after
no, I seen that.
All that was going down. But one of the advice that Bow Wow gave him was, most of the guys gave him was, so at least if he's gonna marry that person, at least do a prenup or something.
Yeah.
It came out that he didn't even sign no prenup, no nothing, man.
Yeah, but like, you never know. Like, social media, bro, that's another thing, bro. Like, social media, it doesn't tell you the full story. It tells you the story that it wants you to hear. And at the end of the day, like, you never know, like, if he had all of his money in his mom's account. She ain't touching that. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know these things, and it's, like, very easy to come to conclusions and, you know, make opinions when you don't know the whole story. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, so that's kind of how I see it. I mean, I don't really judge anyone at all. Never mind people that I don't know. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I mean, the media is going to have you see what it wants you to see. You know what I mean? If it wants him to seem like this dude that's whipped by his girlfriend, that's what it's making it like seem to be. But, you know, behind the scenes, it's probably not like that. You know what I mean?
I just wanted to hear a perspective on it.
Nah, 100%.
I'm like,
hey,
man.
Hey, 100%.
What about Tory Lanez, man? What do you think about his situation, bro?
Free Tory, bro. Damn, that's just crazy. I don't even really want to go into that because I know it's like, it's a touchy subject. But hey, man, I don't know, man. He's an amazing artist. That's all I'm going to say.
Came out that he got
That's all I'm going to say.
Like 14 times in prison or something.
Yeah.
I'm like,
critical condition, man. All that, bro.
And also finding out that apparently he wasn't the shooter. Like, that's what
exactly. Too. Exactly. And, you know, I mean, I can't really put in my opinion because media is going to play some side. So, like, at the end of the day, all I'm going to say with that whole situation is free Tory. And, you know, he's an amazing artist. I'm not going to get into, you know, like, other people's business.
I'm already
even if it's a celebrity, bro, like, and their business is online and shit like that, I don't really do all that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even really watch the news and shit. My life is...
You stay in your own
lane. I control my life, you know what I mean? I don't control everything outside of it. So, you know.
Yep. What about right now, man? What do you have out right now? Any latest drops?
I just performed the If Only I Knew, but a couple weeks later I dropped the If Only I Knew remix with Johnny Nash. Shout out Johnny Nash. You know, he hopped on that remix and I think it's fire. You know what I mean? I showed him the song, and as soon as the beat dropped, he was like, yo, that's tough. Like, let me hop on that one. And I was like, all right, say no more. We ended up going to the studio that day, and he just knocked it out in like, 15, 20 minutes. And you know what I mean? It is what it is. And he did fire on it. So you know what I mean.
Y'all
Fire verse.
Y'all plan on doing a video on that?
Nah. So right now, I have a couple videos out, and like a big like video, like it's more like content creation now. You know what I mean? It's like short form videos and shit. And I know that. Like I wish it wasn't. You know what I mean? Because that just means you have to knock out more of them. Because it's short form. You know what I mean? But man, I'm more into creating like masterpieces. You know what I mean? Like something that like classics and like classic music video, classic.
I was gonna say too, what about like any mixtapes, albums that you plan on dropping and you currently cooking right now, man?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm always writing. That's the thing. So I'm a writer, pen and pad. You know what I mean? So I'm always writing. I'm always writing. You know, as
Speaking
far
of that
as
too, how important it is to be an artist that can actually write your own song too, and because that's actually a whole thing where you can actually, you have to pay all the writers out there where you can actually write your own thing and use your talent, you know, of course, like to put something on the paper.
Yeah, I mean, as far as being able to write your own songs, I feel like that's a given. Like you need to be able to write your own songs. You know what I mean? And that's what I take pride in the most out of everything. You know what I mean? Is my writing ability. Like the fact that I can hit you with a double entendre and you won't even know. You know what I mean? And that's the thing too. It's just like small artists and shit like that. Like people aren't really listening to the lyrics. You're not going on Genius interviews. You know what I mean? And it's like you can't explain that shit. So you kind of got to hope that someone's going to hear it and then really appreciate it. And, you know, I feel like in the future, when people listen on my old songs, like my songs now, and they're going to be old songs then, they're going to be like, damn, he really said that? And I'll be like, hell yeah, I said that. You know what I mean?
He was that guy.
Hell yeah, I said that. I've always been him. You know what I mean? So, as far as people writing their own lyrics and shit, I feel like it's very important just to be an artist. Like, you know what I mean? You can be an actor. You can be an actor, but you're not an artist if you can't write your own music. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, you're just putting on a show. And that's not who I'm trying to be. It's, you know what I mean? Like, I want to put the show on with my lyrics and shit. You know, so, I mean, I find it very, what's the word? Crucial. I find it very crucial to, you know, write your own lyrics as an artist. So that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, what about like your beat selecting? Do you, by the way, do you produce too, or you make your own little beats here and there too, or you just like, you have any producers that you just want to work on with?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to use the computer, bro. That shit's confusing. Like, putting together a beat is confusing, yo. Shout out to all the producers I've worked with. Shout out to all producers in general. That shit, like, you gotta be like some, like, I don't even know.
I'm not
Like
gonna lie,
Einstein
bro.
over here, bro. Like, putting together the beats and shit. I guess, like, over time, it just becomes second nature, just like it is with me, with music and, like, writing lyrics. But, like, man, like, that shit's hard. Like, I ain't even gonna lie, like, I've sat down with producers and, like, I obviously, like, I know rhythm, like, I know sound and all that, so I can tell them, oh, yo, I like this sample, yo, put this beat rhythm with the hi-hats, you know what I mean? I like those 808s, whatever, drums, whatever, but, and, like, I can have them create one.
But creating yourself is a
but
whole
like,
different...
bro, like, when it comes to, oh my, bro, that shit's, I mean, I've done it a couple times, don't get me wrong, but that shit's just ass, I ain't even gonna lie.
Now, I feel that too, because me personally, like last year, well, actually, it was actually in the beginning of this year, I downloaded GarageBand, man. I was trying to play with that. I wasn't bad at it, but man, I was looking at it. It's not easy at all,
Nah, it ain't.
bro. I'm like, it's not easy at all.
And
but,
on that question too, I want to shout out a couple producers because I'll be working like close with, you know, OVO Majesty and Flavor Boy. You know what I mean? Like, those are two producers that like as soon as I heard their music, their beats, like I reached out to them, and ever since then I've been working with them, and all that, and for new music and all that, music coming out and shit like that. Um, my plan is to. I don't really like talking about what I plan to do. I'd rather show it, but you know what I mean. Since I'm working really hard with this shit, like I can kind of give a little sneak peek, you know what I mean? Like my plan is to drop like 2 or 3 songs, and then like I don't know when, maybe every 2 weeks from when they're done, or every month. I don't know, but my plan is to drop an EP. You know what I mean? End of summer or October. And the only reason why I say October is because that's like my birthday month, and I was gonna drop it on my birthday. So my first EP, my first project, whatever, and I'm just gonna promote the hell out of that, and I definitely see that changing my life, like just that one project, me listening to the songs, me putting it all together and shit, like it definitely got me like hyped up as soon as I started putting it together, like the plan and all that with songs, the beats and all that, because I really feel like it can go somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, with the music too. Like, my question is, what is your motivation for the music right now? And then, like, if you could add like your short-term goals and long-term goals for the music.
I feel like my motivation is just becoming financially free. You know what I mean? And sharing my message with the world. I know it sounds really cliche. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like whenever someone asks me that, and everyone asks every artist that, you know what I mean? Like, why do you do this and all that? And I feel like it's a very simple answer. You know what I mean? But people don't want to hear simple answers. They want to hear all like very in depth, almost like someone like trying out a new vocabulary word, you know what I mean? Make it sound all crazy, but at the end of the day, you know what I mean? I just want to get money and have freedom and be able to, support the people I love and do the things I want to do. As simple as that. And I feel like music is definitely my way in, because I feel like, soccer, I feel like the highest division I could have won with that is D2. And I feel like I'm just better at music than most people. And, I had to become a realist for a little bit and just give up on, or not give up, but like kind of take a pause on my other passions and really just lock in on something that, I know that I can do and know that I can do well. And that's music. So at the end of the day, right now, all I'm doing is showing other people what I see. You know what I mean? Just like showing other people my vision, and hopefully one day, or not hopefully, one day they gonna see it. You know what I mean? And then I can just be like, yeah, I seen that shit since I was fucking in the womb. You know what I mean? I knew I was meant for something, and
Yeah, one more thing I wanted to ask you, man, the music industry, while we're speaking of that, how do you feel about the music industry overall right now, man?
Fuck.
If there's like any labels that you have an eye on, that you rock with, you like the way they're doing things too, you can throw that up there too.
Yeah, I mean, I got a vision board and shit like that, and Interscopes on that. So, you know what I mean? But hey, the deal gotta be right. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying right now that I expect to be, like I said, I'm a realist. You know what I mean? So like at the end of the day, do I deserve it over certain other people? Nah, I don't right now. You know what I mean? But and that's a hard truth you gotta swallow. You know what I mean? And it's just, you gotta know when you're there, and it's like, do I know I'm gonna get there? Hell yeah. You know what I mean? I know I'm gonna be there. It's just I'm not there yet. And it's just like I can't ask for, or I can't ask for like certain things when I don't deserve it yet. But hey, I mean, as far as labels, yeah, I'd say probably Interscope or the people that I vibe with the most. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. Because at the end of the day, it's like I don't want to be signed to a label. I want to be part of a family. You know, so that's kind of how I see it. You know.
What about like your fans, the support you're receiving, people who aren't supporting? Like, how do you feel about the supports right now? And by the way, what's your supporting cast looking like right now, too?
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of people just, wanting me to win and shit like that. I don't really pay attention to the people that aren't. You know what I mean? Back in the day, like people would be like hating on me and shit like that, even under like comments and shit, and I would delete them. Nowadays, I don't delete them. You know what I mean? Because what's the point? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't really care about people hating. I've been hated on my entire life. You know what I mean? You kind of just build a tolerance with that, and that's what I did.
J Money got a lot of haters too, bro. I got a lot of haters too.
Bro,
but to all
that
my
means you doing
haters
something
watching
right,
this,
right?
hearing this, you know what? I appreciate y'all. You know what I mean?
That's
But one
what's
thing
up.
about my production, by the way, too, like I'm willing to work with whoever it is. You know, the whole money thing, like you were saying, don't do the shit to me. I make money. I work a regular 9-to-5 job, which I'm fine with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whoever want to work with me, like forget about this money thing. But at the same time, if I attack someone, it's just based on like my time, because I don't like when people are trying to cancel and things like
yeah,
that.
100%.
If I might tell you, okay, donate X, Y, Z, or have whatever you're comfortable with, just so you don't waste my time. Because at the end of the day, I could have been at my regular job making like easily $600 on a regular overtime easily, compared to when you waste my whole entire time like that.
Yeah.
That's it's for the principles that I'm heavy on.
100%.
But J Money, wait for other films. We're ready to work with whoever it is. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah, bro.
But yeah, man, by the way, if anyone watching this interview before it ends, man, I want you to talk your shit and tell them how you feel and then what you got coming up for them.
Yeah. I mean, shit, as far as I feel, I don't really be, basing things off feelings and shit like that. Like, I'd rather just show y'all growing up, you know what I mean? Like, as an artist and shit like that, I'll be saying, yo, just like, this is what I'm gonna do, this is what I'm gonna do, this is what I'm gonna do. And, sometimes I didn't do it, So as of right now, it's all actions over words. And, I mean, that's kind of what I'm living by. And, yeah, I just got new music coming up, a project that, I'm excited about for sure. And, yeah, you'll see me. You know what I mean? You'll see me, and that's a fact.
For 16-year-old you, bro, if you could throw a message at your old 16-year-old you that's going through what you were going through, what message would you throw to him?
I just tell him to be, consistently disciplined. Be consistently disciplined in anything you do, and don't do too much. You know what I mean? Just lock in on certain things and create the habit before you just string yourself out. You know what I mean? You don't want too many things going on, because then you start getting stressed out. You know what I mean? When I was younger, I was going to school, playing soccer, had a girlfriend, and that's like a full-time job too. You know what I mean? Having a girl, bro. So,
Man.
So you had that, and then I was working like 2 jobs, working on music, you know what I mean? And like all this shit, you know what I mean? Like we did, whatever. If I'm talking to my 16-year-old self, we did, but, hey man, like you don't gotta do all that shit. Like you can lock in on the music and, just do 1 job rather than 2. You can, you know what I mean? You can set, I guess, just time management. Manage your time better, to be honest. That's what I say.
Even for the ladies, man, like having a hardworking men out there nowadays, bro, they're probably on the social media looking at the wrong things and trying to compare your hard work to somebody else, that just making it look like they're on top of the world when they're not. What advice or message you got for them too, bro?
Hey, I mean, I don't know. I mean, don't believe the lies. I mean, if they really can't see between the lines, like, hey, man, like, that's their fault. You know what I mean? Like, I always been that type of person too. You know what I mean? Like, really see between the lines and like being able to like see through the lies. You know what I mean? And that's always been me. So I never really had a problem with being able to see if someone's capping, if someone's that's not really you. You know what I mean? Like, I've never had a problem with that. So I feel bad for the people that do. You know what I mean? Y'all getting fooled. But yeah, I mean, I can't relate. That's what I gotta say to them. I can't relate. I'm sorry. So, hey.
Where can the viewers find your music, my brother?
Yeah, so Sarmento on everything. Sarmento. You know what I mean? That's everyone be saying, yo, like, where'd you come up with that name? It's my middle name. You know what I mean? Family name. And yeah, you know what I mean? Sarmento on everything. Sarmento music. It's either Sarmento or Sarmento music on everything. I'm not gonna go into every single, social media platform, but hey, man, you'll find me somehow.
To all your shout outs, man, to whoever you want to put a shout out
Man,
to.
shout out everyone. Shout out you first and foremost, J Money. You know what I
Appreciate
mean,
it,
bro?
bro.
Like, at the end of the day, like, you have me. You know what I mean? I really appreciate it. I appreciate everything that you're doing. You're putting a platform out for these artists. And, you know what I mean? I feel like a lot of people appreciate it. And I feel like you don't get as many flowers as you deserve. You know what I mean?
Man, I really, really appreciate that, bro.
Got you, brother.
My door's always open for you
Hell yeah,
whenever
bro.
you want to come in, bro. Like I said, man, whatever my schedule's busy, you hit me up and let me know, man. But the door's
say no more, bro.
always open for you, my brother, man.
I appreciate that,
And once
brother.
again, man, it was a pleasure, bro. A pleasure,
brother, man.
to have you in the building, my brother.
Hell yeah, bro. I appreciate you.
On time, man.
Hell yeah.